Well, greetings everyone, and I guess this is going to be a little bit of a rant plus me getting this machine around the hump today. I found out yesterday, of course, ever since, I guess I should back up. So, as of Mint 22, mostly due to how Ubuntu is doing hardware enablement, Mint is enabling hardware enablement, and it's largely a good thing. I want to make that very clear. However, it does introduce some amount of stupid stuff that you got to deal with sometimes. Now, some of these issues are self-inflicted. Admittedly, I am somebody who, generally doesn't use all open source software, even though most of Virtualbox is open source. It is an app that I do use. Now, this one is not currently set up. That's because I've recently reset up my VM I do CAD with. I will re-import that appliance back into here and we'll all be good. But as you can kind of tell, this is running VirtualBox 7, which is the repository version of Oracle's VirtualBox. I've always just used what came in the software store, never really had any issues. Until today. Because, at least a few days ago, if we magical browser here, 3 days ago, they pulled in the 6.17 kernel as part of a software update. Mint is shipping hardware enablement kernels from Ubuntu. That part's cool. Yeah, largely you're not going to have any issues. Some people are going to have driver issues and whatnot. You can see Redditors being Redditors here anyway. But, pushing that hardware enablement kernel means we get newer kernels faster. Generally a good thing. However, I got hit with the quadfecta of absolute stupidity. So my main system, my desktop, that's to my side, runs an AMD graphics card. And I use AMD's ROCm graphics stack. So when I did this update, the kernel update worked pretty much without fail, except it had some DKMS failures, and I didn't understand. But when I rebooted, ROCm was broken, my DKMS was broken, VirtualBox wouldn't launch. Things were generally fucked. And if I were to update this machine right now, I'd have a very similar issue. So what happened is that kernel 6.17 won't allow the VirtualBox kernel modules to compile, load, and work. You can kind of see in this guy's errors, I had a very similar error. It says DKMS auto install on 6.17 failed for VirtualBox. This is because the version of VirtualBox that I was just showing you is version 7. Version 7's modules will not compile on 6.17. I don't know what the deal is. I haven't had enough time to go into the nuts and bolts of why, for some reason, this stupid thing is deciding to not compile, but it's broken. Now, I have had multiple lovely people intervene and tell me, well, why are you using VirtualBox? Use KVM. Look, I will slap you in a different video, but that's not the solution. The solution is my shit's broke. I'm trying to fix it, not, hey, just use this other piece of software that isn't quite the same. KVM is fine in its own right. It's very unuser-friendly. I have been trying to use it, but in the meantime, VirtualBox is still my go-to for virtual machines, other than setting up virtual machines on my Proxmox server, because that's all pretty much well-defined. So a lot of people, first thing they ask, okay, well, if you got Secure Boot enabled, disable Secure Boot. Well, we'll just pull that up real quick. And yeah, you can see I'm still running the kernel 6.14. I have not done the update yet. If I go to BIOS, you'll see my Secure Boot is disabled. I just don't bother with an NVIDIA card and VirtualBox DKMS. Just not even going to do it. Too much headache. But anyway, I have Secure Boot disabled, so that's not going to be it. And it's the same on my desktop computer. I don't run Secure Boot. And currently, I guess I should have left that up. I run the NVIDIA Open driver. So if I go to GPU, does it tell me? No, this one just says this. I'm wondering if you run with dedicated GPU, if it... No. I'll be interested to have the Mint team look into that, because it should show you both. Anyway, from my fast fetch, I think it says... No, that was my old fast fetch. Well, anyway, take my word for it. I am definitely running the 590 drivers at this point. In fact, we'll pull the driver manager up in the background just to confirm that. Those should compile just fine. The open drivers have so much less issues in updating. Virtualbox, not as lucky. So, kernel 6.17 support started with Virtualbox 7.2. Now, why does Virtualbox need kernel drivers? Well, it needs some kernel drivers or kernel modules for some of the functionality that it does with networking. I think there's some for the graphics stack and a few other things. Some of how it does virtualization is a little wonky. They are working on a KVM backend. It ain't there yet. Take that for what you will. So you have a couple options. The software store version, if I pull up software and I go look for Virtualbox, if I can type, well, you have what I have, which is version 7. Even if you go with the base, which is just the regular Virtualbox, still version 7. The issue being you're no longer going to be able to use this version and run the latest kernel. I think this is kind of a miss on both Virtualbox's part and Ubuntu, who packages Virtualbox in this case, because on the Debian edition, you can't even get Virtualbox. This was a miss. There should have been some testing done. Somebody should have gone and figured that out, but nobody did. So it's broken. You just can't use Virtualbox 7 now on Mint 22 or the related Ubuntu versions. So what's the solution to it? Well, you got to run 7.2. You can't even upgrade to 7.1. It also will DKMS fail. So what you have to do is run 7.2. The issue is that version 7 is in the software manager. So the only way to get it is either like this guy. You can add... Oh, I see. This will add the Oracle repo to your software sources too. So I'm not even going to go through the manual effort that I usually do. You're just going to grab the Virtualbox package. Some people don't like that. You can just go directly to Oracle and just go grab whatever version that you want. Largely, I stick with the packages that come with the software that are in the software store. This is an instance where you have to go to the manufacturer. And I do think there's a lot to say when I could use a repackaged version of software versus just getting it from the people that make it. I'd go get it from the people that make it. I have run into this numerous times. You can install Google Chrome as a Flatpak. I've got it right here. Just go get the deb from Google, install the repo, and move on. It's stupid. Even Mint, their version of Firefox is just coming from Mozilla. They make a couple tweaks, but it's just Mozilla's mainline package. This is another one of those situations where I'm like, I'm just going to go get it from the people that make it, and it'll be a better experience. So while it's unfortunate, it is avoidable. So what we're going to do to avoid this entire software failure and break all my kernel modules is exactly that. Now, I want to point something out before we get started. People coming in here saying, yeah, Virtualbox 7.2 works, but there was somebody down here that was being an absolute douche, and I wanted to point it out as this is not helpful. Yeah, this guy right here. I'm going to call you out for being an utter douchebag. His last line here really just irks me. He says, it's a common issue for VirtualBox and sometimes NVIDIA crap. Once you know that installing VirtualBox from upstream rather than Ubuntu LTS repos is better and stop using NVIDIA crap, the issue becomes theoretical.
Sound your alarm bell now!
Look, people, NVIDIA does work on Linux. You do have some caveats. It has some problems, like anything else that's an out-of-tree driver. But, you know, this hardware on this P53, I'm actually on the 580 open, so I'll be updating my video drivers here later today. This is one of those things where the hatred towards NVIDIA is understandable, but it does work. I have a 1070 that works just fine running Mint and running the older 580 driver. It does work. You don't need to be throwing salt in the wound because somebody went through some pain here. And I do agree, sometimes dealing with repackaged software is a problem because the person repackaging the software isn't doing the testing to make sure that it's going to work. I've seen this happen numerous times. It's one of the reasons why I do agree with FlatHub just taking developer software and bringing it directly to you versus the stupid shit that we're dealing with here. I mean, I got that way with Kdenlive, where the Ubuntu and Debian versions of Kdenlive are just fucking broken. I got this way with Fedora software, where Fedora's own software is because of their elitist attitude on non-free software being not a thing and just stripping everything out. Half your shit doesn't work when you install it from their repos, but when you go get it from OBS or go get it from FlatHub, which they develop for, suddenly not a problem. So with that ran out of the way, we're just going to go ahead and grab this VirtualBox 7.2, open it with the package installer, go ahead and whack this browser window. So it's going to give me this error saying it conflicts with this package. So what we're going to want to do, you could do it in the software manager and just remove everything. In fact, that's what I'm going to do, and just literally remove. Go ahead and give it that name. And that should purge everything. This VirtualBox base should take out all of the VirtualBox stuff. We'll back up and double check and make sure. You basically just want to uninstall VirtualBox. I totally get it. They don't want to necessarily deal with, you know, package conflicts from you trying to upgrade from one piece to another. So that is now removed. And looks like we still have the guest editions. We will remove that as well. It'll be outdated because it'll be the guest editions for. So that'll be removed. And you see everything's gone. Now, I will go sudo apt auto remove. And we'll just double check. Looks like everything got removed correctly. So now we're going to grab that deb file that we got. Now, it was from that forum post. I would go get it directly from Oracle. And it says Oracle Corporation, Oracle VirtualBox. It's going to add libcursor and libzf. Seems fine. VirtualBox 7.2 for Ubuntu Noble. That's what Mint is based off of. And we're going to click Install. You can go through the process of going to Oracle. They have instructions on their website to add the repository, add the key, apt update, and then apt install. This sounds like it does everything for you, and that's what we're about to find out. I've always added the key, added the repository, and then turned around and apt installed the package. So there it is, processing and unpacking. So VirtualBox 7 is now installed. So now if I go to VirtualBox and click Run, this is the new VirtualBox interface. Go to About. This is 7.2. We're going to close that, and we're going to go to Software Sources. I want to see something really quick. Okay, so one, I hadn't changed my software sources since I last updated this machine. I'm going to go ahead and do that. We'll do an apt update on the side. Additional repositories. It looks like there is some stuff added, but there's nothing in the additional repositories. So I'm guessing if you want VirtualBox to be updated, let's check something real quick. Let's go to Etsy apt sources.list. Yeah, there's nothing here. So that package is a standalone, which is not exactly how I would do it. So what we're going to do, I'm going to go to Linux downloads, and this is based on Ubuntu. That would give me the deb file. What I want is the scroll down stuff here. You're going to need the GPG key, which I would get the download and register right here. And we're going to do that. It'll download and it'll register it in our apt sources. And then what we will need is this line to put in the sources.list. So what I will do is I will create a virtualbox.list. And inside there, I will paste that line. Now where it says my dist, you'll change it to whatever distribution you are. So in this case, Noble. Because there's also one for, so you'd still do an Ubuntu one for if you were on Debian 13, but you would just replace my dist with Trixie, Bookworm, that sort of thing. So you just want to be somewhat aware of that. So for the current Mint release, it would be Noble. For the current Mint Debian release, it would be Trixie. So with that, we will save with sudo. We will quit. We'll do a sudo apt update. And it looks like that went through just fine. Upgradable. Looks like QEMU has some updates. Muffin, some NVIDIA updates. Overall, not really to VirtualBox. So it does look like that deb file does not go ahead and add the sources to your software sources. If you want it to keep updating past that point, I mean, yes, I suppose VirtualBox itself can update itself, but I prefer letting apt handle things. It does a good job. So now with that, I can close all of this out. Close you out. I'm going to refresh the update manager, and then I will apply all of my system updates. We will reboot, and everything will go great. So I will come back once that has all been figured out, and then we'll wrap up the video there. All right, and we are back. So we will pull up the driver manager and system information just to confirm. Now, I did have a weird issue with this one where it didn't immediately boot into 6.14. So I found out, depending on how you installed Linux Mint, you aren't necessarily in the hardware enablement. I'm not exactly sure why. I just went in, enabled the kernel, removed some extra kernels, and we're all good to go now. So you can see we're running the kernel 6.17, which is the problematic kernel. But we also have our new 590 drivers, and everything is working really well. I can get Davinci Resolve running. Oh, okay. It just chose to not do that. And then you can see I have my Resolve project files and whatnot. So everything is hunky-dory. So we'll go ahead and create a project real quick. And if I go in, it's detecting my CUDA just fine. I'm always concerned when I get involved with changing drivers with Resolve because sometimes things go wonky. So I hope you enjoyed. I know it's a simple one today, but oh yeah, the important part, does VirtualBox still work? And it does. I will do some messing about with this new interface. This is very different for me. But in any event, I hope you all enjoyed. Actually, let's do, and I hope you all have a great day.